Erev Tov. This is Avraham Shira for our Patreon Master Series class on Divine Inspiration and the Many Faces of Meditation. Tonight we're going to return to some of the classical meditations that are given to us by the Arizal HaKadosh, the 15th century kabbalist from Sfat. And these meditations are another level of meditation that most people never encounter unless they come to Orthodox Judaism. These meditations are attached to the general everyday service of a Jew. Tonight we're going to learn the main meditation of all the meditations, which of course is the usage of Shema Israel, Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad, as a mantra. But what we're going to learn here tonight is this is a meditation that you do on your own alone as a preparation for actually saying it in the davening, and it's also used as a device, as we'll see from what the Rav gives us the instructions, to climb through the mystical levels of the worlds and their names and the movement of the energy from above to below and below to above. So the first thing we have to understand is what we're going to learn now is not necessarily what you have to try to accomplish while you're trying to keep pace with the minyan in your synagogue. And if you're not trying to keep pace with your minyan in your synagogue, then you're going to have a much easier time incorporating these ideas in your davening. But like Rabbi Nachman said, when we daven, we talk to Hashem like a little child to his father. Not like a student of meditation meditating to his master. Okay, it's a little different context, right? And that difference is very important between the idea of man as a vehicle of the unification of God, and a Jew as a child of the Creator here to do his work, the work of our Father. So those distinctions are subtle, but they are important. The Rav again, Tzarich Adam lechaven kavanot yichud kriyat Shema kodem she'yatchil kriyat Shema. Right. First thing he tells us is exactly what we just said. That we do this unification before we actually say the kriyat Shema. So in other words, and the key word of all of this, of the Arizal meditative practice, is the word kivun lechaven. It means to point or to direct. And what we're doing is we're using our mind as a pointing device. And when we point with our mind, automatically the rest of us follows. Our emotions follow, our mouth follows, our bodies follow. And so pointing, in this sense, we're talking about we're above three-dimensional space. We're pointing into the spiritual realm where there is no space. So when you think about it that way, you understand that it's like being at sea without a compass. You can go any way you want. And so we are chayav. This is why kavanot are so important. We are obligated to point our mind in a certain direction, because otherwise we can end up anywhere. As most people know, you can sit down to daven, and next thing you know, you're thinking about everything else but davening. And so what we want to do is not do that. What we want to do is to point our mind before we actually do the mitzvah, and he's going to tell us the layers of intentions that we're supposed to have before we actually enter into the performance of the mitzvah. So the first thing he tells us, Yichud kriyat Shema letikun pagam od yud tahavaya asher pagmu al yedei bitul kriyat Shema. So the first intention is that we are going to have in mind to fix a defect we caused in the letter Yud of God's name by not saying Kriyat Shema when we are obligated to by the Shulchan Aruch. Now, by the Shulchan Aruch, we're obligated to say Kriyat Shema twice a day, in the morning and the evening. And that's Doraita. So it's important because it comes from the Torah before the rabbis give us all the details and the particulars of the mitzvah. Okay, so you have intention that we're going to fix this Yud, because God's name is a living thing, and it's flowing through us. And if I don't do a certain mitzvah, then I actually cause a diminishing of the light that's flowing through that particular letter. So we want to fix that. So how do we do that? Well, what we're going to do is we're going to build God's names backward in the mind. What does that mean? That if you have a piece of paper and a pencil, it's easier to see it than just to hear it. But you start at the bottom in your mind, so to speak, with the final hey of God's name. And then you unify that hey with the vav, which is above it. And then those two, the vav hey, which of course represent two partsufim, it's called Zeran Pin and Nukva. We elevate those two letters, vav and hey, which are now a unity, a male-female unity. We elevate them to the hey of Ima Ila'ab, Bina, and Yud, which is Abba, Abba and Ima, Banu Bat. We've just unified God's name, Hey and Vav and Hey and Yud, backwards going up the tree of life.